Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
AKA. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Hey, you guys, welcome back. This is your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
Welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club, you guys. Yay, we made it again.
We did
it. Yay.
We
did it. What is that? Dora? Okay, yes.
That's the
Shout
only
out to
Spanish
Dora.
I know is really what Dora taught me.
Man, we owe her a lot.
We do.
Well, you do.
Thanks, Dora.
Yeah, thanks, Dora.
Black
Well,
Explorer Dora.
You know what? You guys, we're not even here to talk about that. Can you imagine that we got off track just as soon as we started?
No, it's back to slavery.
So right back to business, you guys. So this week we are talking about James, which is a novel by author Percival Everett. I'm super excited to talk about this because, well, and actually, when you first mentioned it, I thought, man, this is going to be sad.
And it was.
And it was sad, but
also inspiring.
Also, Percival Everett is now one of my new faves. Like, I know he's been writing books for forever, so pardon me for being late on the Percival Everett train, but he's so good at his job, you guys.
He's like good. You know what comparison I came up with today? He writes the way Simone Biles does gymnastics.
Oh my God.
Like just a class of their own.
Damn, they're just going to name stuff after him. It's like, man, he pulled Everett out here. You know what I'm saying? His wordplay is...
I'm looking forward to rereading this because I know I missed a lot.
It was so good, you guys. So I can't wait to get into it. Let me give you guys a little brief synopsis about the book. James is a novel by the author Percival Everett, and it is a reimagining of the adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain, but told from the perspective of Huckleberry's friend on his travels, Jim, who is an escaped slave. When the enslaved Jim overhears that he is about to be sold to a man in New Orleans, separated from his wife and daughter forever, he decides to hide on a nearby Jackson Island until he can formulate a plan. Meanwhile, Huck Finn has faked his own death to escape his violent father, who recently returned to town. As all readers of American literature know, thus begins the dangerous and transcendent journey by raft down the Mississippi toward the elusive and too often unreliable promise of the free states and beyond. Okay. So there you have it, folks. This is what we're getting into. Hopefully you're ready to dive into this really, really great book today. Before we do, I think it's only right to dedicate this episode. So hands over your hearts, everyone. To our patrons, you guys, thank you so much. We want to dedicate this episode and every single episode to each and every one of you guys. We appreciate your continued support over time. If you're not a patron, you guys should definitely pull up at Patreon.com/The Fab Podcast. We have a lot of fun content there for you guys. Also, I want to dedicate this to James, actually. Just came up with that because I just love the way that there was new life breathed into this old character. I would say that this, Huckleberry Finn is part of the literary canon that is, super American, and it says a lot about our culture, and I really enjoy being able to rediscover this character through his lens, through his voice. So what about you, friend?
Yes, to your dedication, and my dedication this week is going to go out to the summer celebration for Indiana Black Expo. This is going to air Wednesday, so Friday the 28th, I'll be doing a live painting at the Arts Pavilion, and then that Sunday we'll be doing a live show at 2:00. So yeah, that'll be great. And also a special dedication to Box the Artist for organizing that.
Aww, I know.
That is definitely her superpower.
She goes hard,
I could
man.
not. So yeah.
Does a great job.
Dedication over.
I do believe our slot is maybe 5 to 6 on Sunday.
Is it 5 to 6? Cool.
She must have moved it around, and I like the positioning of that box because there's an author talk right before then.
Oh, cool.
And so hopefully they stick around because I was like, that'd be nice to have them in the building to maybe chat with them
I'm
a little bit.
keeping the whole day open, so it's all good.
Yeah, so we're really excited. In fact, if you guys are in the Indianapolis area, it's the Indiana Convention Center, the Arts Pavilion. Come check us out. Though, and also too, even if you don't get a chance to check us out, just pull up. There's so many different things. There's painting, there's yoga, there's art. They have the art exhibit. So lots of fun stuff for all the ages. So definitely pull up. And with that, you guys,
I feel like DJ Mary Jane will be there too.
DJ Mary Jane will be there too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a good time. You know how I feel about her.
I do know how.
Yeah, I'll be excited to see her.
I always want to, the teacher in me wants to split you two up.
I know, I instantly am like,
it's like,
oh, I love it. I love it so hard. Yeah, so guys, with that, let's get into this episode. Do you have a little bit about our author today, friend?
I do. I have exactly a little bit.
Okay, good.
Okay, so Percival Everett is an American writer and distinguished professor of English at the University of Southern California. He has described himself as pathologically ironic and has played around with numerous genres such as Western fiction, mysteries, thrillers, satire, and philosophical fiction.
Ooh.
And it looks like Steven Spielberg's Amblin is to produce an adaptation of Percival Everett's bestseller James for Universal.
That's
and
crazy.
If you're a super fan of the Fab, you might remember we reviewed his book last year, or was earlier that it's not early in the past. It was earlier this year. Erasure. That was optioned into a major motion picture, American Fiction. Both very good.
Both very, very.
So we
very
like him
good.
around here.
He was pretty amazing.
You said though, if I met him in real life, you don't think I'd like him.
No. I was thinking like romantically.
Oh,
I thought you were saying
like
it
anybody
like
romantically.
that's not true. You said you kind of said it like, what? Why aren't there guys out here like this?
Yeah,
And
that's what I mean. Like, yeah, just to talk to that aren't like going
because you don't
straight
believe in
into,
platonic
like
relationships.
Apologetics.
You're triggered from today, friend. It's okay. They're there. I thought you meant like.
No, just
he'd be a nice guy to get to know. Well, because I didn't believe that you thought that there was a such thing as platonic relationships.
Of course,
We talked
like
about it a
just
bunch.
talking to people in the wild, like yeah. Not that I would have like a sustained relationship, but just like yeah, cocktail banter.
He would just be trying to slide though.
Nah, that's
See,
his
look
type.
at you. I thought you said. Okay, moving on. So, you guys, let's get into this book. So, I thought it was a really bold choice to take a book like Huckleberry Finn, which is, it's a sub.
It's Americana.
It's so Americana.
It's apple pie.
And it comes from like the Tom Sawyer story. So it's like one of the stories that kind of like broke away from that. And
Like a spinoff.
yeah, like a spinoff. Oh, that's actually
Did
kind
you
of what
read
I was looking
Huckleberry
for.
Finn?
I did.
Really?
I
I've
did.
never read it.
I did. You know what? And I re-listened to it.
I wish I had. Like if only I had had more time, I would have
did.
liked to have compare and contrasted. So it'll be fun to hear yours.
It was, yeah, I definitely, yeah, it was like, wow, this is.
But I do
so
know a
good.
lot because, like I said, it's part of the culture. So I know the point. You know,
The
like
stories
there's
and the
stuff.
beats and
yeah.
stuff. It's a mosquito, guys.
And I hate it.
He was making himself known. He was throwing up gang signs in the camera,
it's
like,
do you want a job as
eat
producer?
you.
You were like
I
in here.
will eat you. Okay. I was like, wait, I almost threw up an actual gang sign. Let me stop. Hands down, don't do that. Okay.
Oh, what were we talking about?
Huckleberry Finn.
Okay. Yeah, I was familiar with it just, being a culture. Just like if you might not have seen The Godfather, but you still get the horse head reference and stuff like that.
because people have talked about it a lot.
Yeah, they just talk about it so
yeah.
much. So I feel like that's how Huckleberry Finn, Tom Sawyer is to me. Not that I was ever avoiding it, but actually I think because this is a popular book that gets banned. So I think the school I was growing up in, they didn't like Mark Twain.
Well, and it's because I want to say there was a nigger was in the book So
200
excuse me, 200
over 200
sometimes. So
Yeah. But it's part of his name.
yes. Not in this book. His name is James.
I meant in Huckleberry Finn. Though.
In Huckleberry Finn,
it wasn't,
he was,
and
yeah.
it was. I don't want to say appropriate.
It was
but
just so
at
appropriate.
the time that it was written, and because Mark Twain was a huge critic of slavery and like an abolition. It wasn't to be like to dehumanize him. It's just this is an accurate
how they
portrayal of how the South, how they talk.
Yeah.
Because did you get any like kind of like Django vibes from the James book?
I guess only in terms of there's retribution in a sense. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Which was very, very
You rarely
wonderful
see slaves
and beautiful.
like reacting violently to their oppression in a lot of narratives we see about American slavery. So to me, I like that.
It was great. I honestly, it was very, very satisfying. And so, because I re-listened to Huckleberry Finn too, I was looking at, everything, what he did beautifully in this book, I felt like was taking, like if you read the original source material, he's actually, it goes right along with it to the point where I'm like, it would be dope if the books just came together in a set.
Like it was like how
Like a
where
companion
there's
piece.
like an A and B plot, like in a sitcom, where you can kind of, and then at the end it'll be like, oh, we were connected by a theme.
And I always love that too. I always love like what's that? Dear White People. Did you ever watch that?
Mm-hmm. The movie or the show?
The show.
Oh yeah.
I loved how, like maybe one episode was about one person and you got to see their viewpoint and then you see another person's. And of course you get to see the whole thing because it's the story, but I'm really into it. So I just thought it was a really brave choice, really interesting choice to take such an iconic piece of American literature and then to decide to, give James the voice. James was, he was that dude. I honestly...
I
loved it.
Should I do a beat for beat what happens?
I think you should.
Or for people
Just
who
quickly.
don't know, because that would have been, I kind of wanted to read a beat for Huckleberry Finn, because I was like, what happened? Because like I said, I've never really read it, so I don't know what all happened. So I didn't know what he brought, but basically our protagonist is James, who some people may remember as N-word Jim from Huckleberry Finn, who was just painted as sort of his lovable companion and stuff like this. But now that he's a fleshed out character, it's like, yeah, I wasn't just happy. My whole job is to keep white people from freaking out or else I could get killed. So, it's not always like white, like black slaves were just so chill. It was just like
They were singing songs.
just like they loved
They were
it.
jovial.
It's like, oh, Jim was part of the family. It's just we never. Okay. So we start off where, we're on this is right before the Civil War. We're in St. Louis, and we're on a forced labor camp. And James, he hears through the grapevine that old Missus is about to sell him. So he's like, well, instead of me just accepting that fate, I'm going to run. I'm going to try to, get my stuff together so I can come back for my wife and kid. So while he's on the run, he runs into Huckleberry Finn, who staged his own death, but whose father really did die. Did he die in Huckleberry Finn?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe he did that.
Okay, so they're on the run, and so now that James is on the run with Huck, he's like, oh my goodness, they're gonna think I killed him. And so he's extra paranoid. So they're on this raft going down the Mississippi River. Oh my gosh, if I had finished work earlier, I would have brought over some catfish. All the catfish places were closed. Oh my goodness, they said catfish so many times. I'm so hungry.
Oh, you're such
Man,
a black person.
Yeah, but that was a theme though throughout the whole. They kept bringing up this catfish. So anyway, they have a lot of narrow escapes, and at one point they're trying to pass James off as Huck's slave, but Huckleberry, he's too young. People aren't going for it. They run it. I really love because I do remember this trope of like the short guy and the tall guy who are telling tall tales. Because I remember The Simpsons did a parody of this.
Okay.
And them being way more sinister how would have been in real life. Like drifters aren't delightful generally, like for the most part. There's a reason they got to keep moving around, and they were like con men, and then they,
That was real.
Yeah.
In the book too, yeah.
But how did they end up getting split up?
Let's see.
Because man, so much stuff happened.
It was a lot.
Like they end up getting split up, and so while they're split up, James ends up getting bought. Oh, that's what happened. Like he, while he's with the Duke and the King, those two drifters.
Oh yeah, they went to get drunk and then tied him to a tree and was like, "Stay here while we get drunk." Him and Huck, and then I think. Oh yeah, they were staying overnight, and then he unlocked him.
Yeah, they got mixed up with the blacksmith.
Yeah,
and so one of either the Duke or the King, they messed up the blacksmith who was a slave. So the guy who owned him ended up taking James in retribution because it's like, well, you messed up my slave, so I'm gonna take your slave. And so that's when they got Huck and James got split up. And so, but then, like, right after he gets, like, sold or traded to this guy.
He got hired out for a minstrel show, remember?
No, he wasn't hired out. He straight up bought him.
Well,
yeah.
He kept saying it was for hire.
Yeah, but he bought that man. He was like, and I guess that was like a real person, Daniel, whatever.
Was he?
Yeah, like I guess that was like a person from like real life who started the first like minstrel show.
Oh shit! Of course it was. Of course he was like historically accurate.
If I feel like I would look that up. I'll double check when I'm editing. Editing me, hey, wake up! Like, hey, like look that up. But anyway, so yeah, he ends up pretending to be a white guy, pretending to be a black guy,
which was wild.
Which was very wild. But he soon escapes that situation and is back on the run. He ends up, jeepers, where does he end up after that?
So he gets away, but then come to find out Norman, who was also part of that group.
Yes,
the minstrel group was a passing black man, which was a really interesting choice.
So they end up running off together and trying to run the whole Norman owns me. Like they're going to try to do the scam that the King and the Duke were going to try to do, which is sell them and then steal them back, and they just keep selling them over and over again. This is some very solid human trafficking, can I just say? So James is getting bought, and so later on someone explains to him, it's like, no, you are actually owned by some bank, and so they're just trading property. Like like you're just a commodity, just kind of like the housing futures and stuff like that. People are making so much money buying and selling you don't even understand. So he ends up making his way back. There's like a big old calamity, like there's a riverboat explosion or something. And so they end up making their way back to St. Louis to get his family because he and Huck reunite on the riverboat. And they're going back for the family. He ends up killing the overseer, which was great. I love that scene.
That felt great.
Choked him out. I love that. That's what they should have done on Game of Thrones. That's how Cersei should have died. Like getting choked out.
She deserved a lot more.
By Arya. That would have been cool. But anyway, and then kills the overseer. He helps some other people escape along the way too.
He sure does.
And then, I mean, long story short, it's a happy ending. He ends up reuniting with his family and going to freedom. And it ends with him being like, yeah, my name's James.
Yeah. Okay, my name is James. Okay.
Yeah. Well, okay, so at the beginning when he was like teaching classes on how to talk to white people.
That was literally the first scene, which I thought was a brilliant and I love how he brought that sort of contemporary black situation into this time frame, because it's like, I wonder if they really were like playing it up a lot of the time I mean, I'm like, of course they were, of course they had to.
Like
it was awesome.
And when he was talking about how like you want to say things wrong so that they can correct you, because that makes them feel superior. And I just think about how messed up so many things in our culture have been, because there's just always been this assumption of black inferiority.
Oh, absolutely.
And when in actuality, like to survive what we've had to survive, there's actually quite a bit of excellence and eliteness in like every aspect. Because there was this idea that somehow like, because he brought the curse of Ham. I always like to, bring that up as
The curse of Ham is crazy to me, man. Like every
Do you
time.
want to?
Like,
do you want to
wow. I mean,
I'm
it's
for
just
people who are unfamiliar.
I feel like you have read the Bible probably more thoroughly than me, so you
but
probably
it's
explain
not.
it better.
It's not very biblical though.
Oh, okay.
Like once again, it was a part of like dogma and stuff like that, and became sort of like a doctrine. But it's not. The Bible doesn't say the curse of Ham was making people black.
The curse of Ham
It was
means
just-
you're black.
And even if it did, like, it doesn't even make sense in the context of the story. Like, that's the rest of the Noah story, where one of his sons saw him naked, so he's cursed forever.
I would be
And
cursed forever if I saw my
so
dad
that's
naked.
why you have to be slaves.
It's like you saw your dad's ball sack.
Yeah.
Now you
so
must do
now
work.
You
You
have
must
to
labor.
serve your brothers.
The hell?
Yeah, that was the curse of Ham.
I don't like that. at
Yeah, it
all.
wasn't great, and it doesn't even if you're using the Bible as like canon, it doesn't like make a
Doesn't
ton of
track.
sense. But it worked.
It didn't
like a
stop
charm.
anybody.
No,
yeah,
it
exactly.
worked as a justification, so people could be like, "Oh, well, yeah, this is why we have the darkies serving us. They were cursed."
Oh my goodness. Well, and
And-
then that makes you feel good too because you're like that explains it.
Yeah.
This is why I can get that justification or
Yeah.
whatever. But what I'm learning about Percival Everett though is that his books, because I remember in American fiction / Erasure, his use of language was really. I mean, it's so eloquent and it's
And
so poetic and
precise.
and then everything is for a reason. And it reminded me of when he was writing that novel inside of the book.
Yeah,
And he went into
was
that-
So stunning.
Oh my God. You go into this dialect that's, different. It was so good. It was just so good, the back and forth of it all. And so the idea of code switching, like, during the story, I think I pulled like a little excerpt from an article that was talking about, it says, because it's a Percival Everett novel too, it luxuriates in language. Everett, like Twain, is a master of American argot. He is a code switcher. In James, he puts his skills to incandescent use. His narrator runs his very public utterance through what he calls a slave filter to make himself sound ridiculous and gullible to pacify the translucent. No, that's not translucent. Truculent. What does truculent mean?
Like stupid on purpose.
Oh, no. Okay, truculent white people around him, translucent. Listen, I just assumed it was that. That's so crazy. And it's late, so. Here is that practice in action as James explains to a group of enslaved children in a cabin, introducing the girl named February how to survive. The children said together, quote, the better they feel, the safer we are. February, translate that. The more better days feel, the more safer we be.
It's like
Nice.
Nice.
Oh, Tay.
Oh, Tay. Oh, man.
So yeah, I just
Okay,
thought
and
that
that ties really well into the minstrelsy too. He was like, okay, so we're talking about like his amazing writing, because to me, I did see some foreshadowing, because when they were on the raft talking, and Huck says to James, you're not that much darker than me. And they start talking about the widow's peaks. And to me, I thought they were going to hint that they had the same father. I thought that's where that complete. Oh, so we always do
No.
spoilers. We always spoil. We spoil everything. Okay, so listen, this is a pretty huge spoiler. If you plan on reading the book, seriously,
Fast forward it.
skip ahead about
Please, 3 minutes.
3 minutes. I want to say 3 minutes.
Yeah, just about 3 minutes because we blow up
About
late.
3 minutes. But okay, in some serious like Star Wars twist stuff, James was Huck's father, his biological father, which also kind of adds context as to why Huck's, the person he thought was his father, was so abusive towards him, why James knew his mom, all that stuff. But I definitely did get the foreshadowing that they were related, but I did not see that they were going to make him his father.
I did see the foreshadowing too because I thought, what are y'all
Widow's
trying to
Peaks,
say?
because we know that's a genetic marker.
What y'all trying to say?
Yeah.
What y'all trying to say?
And like this is the South. Like people try to act like white and black people are these separate entities. Guess what? Wherever you go, people are fucking.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
They-
Whether they want to or not, apparently. So
so
Yeah.
much, and he didn't shy away from the
Sexual
crepe.
abuse.
Yeah, like that is to me such a prevalent part of chattel slavery that gets kind of glossed over. But yeah, everybody was pretty much related.
Yeah. And I mean, like the part about Huck getting beat up by his dad, like that was in the book too. He left and all of that. Like them being on that island was in the book, them being on the raft, meeting the two guys on their way. So it was just super.
So in
it was
Huck
awesome.
Finn, what happens to James in Huck Finn? How do they resolve it? Does he die?
No, he doesn't die. He helps them get to freedom. Like I think he actually because I didn't even get to the end of it. Now I don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure. Let me Google it. Let me see what happens at the end of it.
So,
what happened?
Because that was the thing that I thought was great, because they had that riverboat explosion. So that was the perfect way to like fake kill James. To have Huck tell everybody.
So readers learn that Miss Watson has passed away and freed Jim in her will, and Tom has been aware of Jim's freedom the entire time. Tom Sawyer?
That's kind of messed up.
At the end of the novel, Jim finally set free, and Huck ponders the next adventure. Okay. So, yeah. Okay. There you have it.
Woolsies.
What happens at the
Did
end
he
of
have a
the
family in the Huck Finn version? Like a wife and daughter?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. And he was crying about him and stuff like that. So it was really interesting because like there was times when they were on that raft together where, you know, James is having like these internal dialogues and we get to hear like, you know, what he's thinking about, and he kind of slips into these kind of like in not American Fiction, well, the movie, but in Erasure, how he would have these sort of like dialogues through different authors and stuff like that because he's fancy schmancy. And it'd be like Voltaire and, you know, all kinds of, you know what I'm saying?
It was that.
It was that same kind of thing. He did that in Erasure as well, where you kind of slip in and out of these sort of
lofty conversations.
Yeah, these lofty conversations. But I felt like it was for us. It was to kind of help us understand his mind frame and his internal sort of
because that was the thing too about James. He had been sneaking in. He had secretly taught himself how to read, and he had been going into the master's library. Because that was actually a question. They were like, "Hey, were you in the library?" He was like, "No, sir." It's like,
what was I be doing in that?
It's like, I don't know nothing about books. It's like,
what else they be there for? Yeah, I know, that's so crazy. Which is why y'all should read books, man. It used to be illegal. It's just wild.
There's a reason they did not want you to. And I might take this part out too. I just sharing with this with you because you're my friend. But like, I really enjoyed the fact that this was a representation of a slave who wasn't religious, who was just like, I'm not waiting on sweet Jesus or the hereafter. Or even in the very first part where he was just like, if there's a God, it's not this dude. Like,
yeah, yes, and that was kind of through the whole book. You know, like you would have the
there wasn't just like, oh Lord, like he wasn't really doing that
like,
stuff. He was just like, I've read too much Voltaire,
and how there was right, and you know what, that is interesting too, because he had the choice to take a few different books, and the Bible was one of them. He was like, yep,
I'm cool off that.
He was like, you know what,
I'd rather have a blank book.
And he's like, why didn't you pick that one? He's like, yeah. I'm cool off of that. Yeah. So, yeah, it was definitely his choice to sort of, you know, like when he was tired or thinking he was dreaming, or when he was having near-death moments, you know, he would slip into these sort of inner monologues and stuff like that were really illuminating to his spiritual journey in terms of, you know, his own freedom and like his on his lot in life, because you don't ever suppose that, you know, enslaved people had these inner lives, and I think he did a beautiful job of just humanizing enslaved people, because like even in these super iconic narratives and stuff, like you really just don't get a sense of, you know, you kind of do, because even in Huck Finn, you know, on one hand Huck is having these sort of debates with himself about being a sinner and being like not a good boy, because he's, you know, he's like, man, this poor lady's lost her nigger, and you know, here I am helping him, but he's like, yeah, but I like him,
right? Like, because
he
how
can't
do you
reconcile
how do you
that.
decide what's right in the situation? Because you can't just use what's legal.
No.
You know, so like in that situation, he's like, am I stealing you?
Yeah.
You know, like he's really asking himself, like, wait, am I?
Yeah, it's like it's sad in a way because you know he's like 13 or something like that, 14 years old. You know that he's been indoctrinated in a certain way. And, Huck is a poor white kid in the South. And so his dad is an alcoholic. He beats his ass all the time.
White passing.
Well, in Huckleberry Finn. I mean, maybe in even
I like
Huckleberry
how
Finn, no, I thought
even
that
with
was
the
dope.
Norman character, they were like, I mean, passing white, like, what is the difference? There's like literally no difference. Like,
other than how you feel, maybe.
Well, how others might feel
Or
about
view
you
you,
with
yeah.
your, who your ancestors are. But it's like at the end of the day, like, we're all coming from the same tree. Like, it doesn't, this whole idea of like there's this strata of whiteness one can never enter without the purity of, your genetic lineage. It's like,
come on.
yeah.
He looks white, so that's enough.
Yeah, and what does that even mean? Like, I like that he was getting into that. Like, what is, like, to me, that should always be sort of the questions, like, what is whiteness? Because it's not the same everywhere.
Yeah, and what does it mean to you? Like how married are you to it? But it was just interesting to see him go through these sort of moral dilemmas internally. And it just kind of corresponded, I feel like, because Huck was kind of having those same sort of like, dang, you know what I'm saying? He's like, I guess I'm just a sinner. Maybe it's because I'm lowborn, maybe because I'm not educated. And, he was like, the widow Watson, she's tried to learn me, and I've, she made me put on slacks and shit and brush my teeth and like use utensils and stuff, but maybe I'm just a wild animal. And at one point in Huckleberry Finn, he's like, I guess I'm going to hell, because he wrote down that he was gonna write her because he needed to absolve his conscience. He was like, he was feeling bad. He's like, I feel like I know I'm doing wrong and I should be doing right. And everybody says that he is his N-word Jim is enslaved, and here I am helping him escape, basically. And so he writes it down and was going to send it. And then he's like going over it, and he's like, he rips it up. He's like, I guess I'm going to hell. Fuck it. Like, I've been a heathen all this time. I might as well to the grave with it. I ain't even about to, because he was like, I was thinking about how he talks to me. I was thinking about how, he loves his family. He's like, I guess niggers can feel about their families like white folks do. He said, that's weird, but I guess they can. It's just like, it's so crazy how, in order for stuff like that, we've talked about this, in order for slavery in general to work, or any kind of institution that subjugates another group of people, you have to convince yourself that they deserve it somehow. Whether that's you're telling yourself,
curse him.
Listen, they put a curse on them, and that's why.
It's like, it's not my idea.
I'm just
an adherent of the faith.
Take it up with take it up with whomever. Yeah. So yeah,
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's just crazy. The need to do that, I guess it makes sense in terms of like if you really saw them as people. If then it would be heartbreaking and terrible.
When you saying like he says like he's like, well, I guess I'm going to hell. It's like, but could you like with some of these people are living through, like you couldn't really the like it's hellish.
Yeah.
Like because I think I was talking earlier about how my whole body hurt, and how like listening to this like didn't help because he's so good at writing and painting a picture with his words about the constant assault of the physical torture, the smells, the lack of rest, the constant mental torment because you know that your family's going through this too. Yeah, I'm getting sad thinking about it.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was just well written. I thought that the minstrel so the minstrel show thing wasn't in the Huckleberry Finn book, but I thought it was an interesting choice because and just it was like perfect. I'm like, yes, that's crazy because that was a super popular
Pastime,
dressing up and putting shoe polish on your face and pretending like you're like just and even just the psychology behind it, like James explaining why he knows why white folks love it. It's like, they want to be able to make fun of us and feel like,
It's
they're having this joke on us. Look at them.
Dumber than a bucket of hair.
Yeah, a bucket of hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you think about the fact that guy got killed over a pencil?
Oh, that was sad.
That was very sad. Because if you think reading is powerful, currently writing is really, like, they really don't want you doing that. Like, at a certain point, when James is running away, he runs into some other slaves. He's like, look, I don't want to put you out or anything, but if y'all can help me get a pencil, that'd be great. And just think about how little we think about pencils.
It's like a pencil?
Yeah, like the idea of someone getting murdered because they think you stole a pencil, jeepers. Like, that was super sad. But what do you think because I wanted to go back, like what do you think the pencil and like that magnifying glass symbolize? Because he ends up losing them. I noticed, like, through all of this stuff, he was able to keep that magnifying glass up until the very end, but he still kept that pencil the whole time.
I don't know.
English teachers, reach out to us and let us know the symbology, because I feel like there was, he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't do anything on accident. Like, there was those were almost characters in a way, like pencil and the magic glass, as he said.
In his book, his blank, I guess just the
journal.
Yeah,
because that was the thing that was interesting at the beginning, because I remember I restarted the beginning because the piece of paper said from the desk of Daniel Evers or something like that, or whatever that guy's name was, the minstrel show guy.
Today. Oh, okay.
And I was like, wait, what's that name? Because I remember going back, because I was like, wait, what? I thought this was about a thing. And so then later on, when I heard that, I was like, oh, okay, got it, because it was from his journal, and he wrote this down.
The way that it started, I was like, oh God, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it took me a while because
it
like
starts with
any
the real
book where you have to kind of. Here's the other thing. It doesn't have nothing to do with the book. I looked up, remember we got in an argument with Deanna about like whether reading is the same as audiobooks?
Was that him?
Yeah.
Okay.
Deanna Curry.
Shout out to you,
at least
Deanna.
one of the times we probably argue with lots of people
I
about
was going to say, I feel like, didn't Ari Dizzy say something about that too?
Probably.
Yeah,
They're both very similar
Uh-huh.
in a lot of their mannerisms.
Okay.
But I looked it up because I was like, what does Psychology Today have to say about this? Apparently there's no difference. Other than you might actually remember more stuff from audiobooks. That's what they found. But like, yeah, pretty much there's not like a huge difference. Do you keep looking at the cup? I keep looking at the cup.
No, but now that you said it, it's a spider under there, guys. There's a lot going on, okay?
I'm having to put that in
spider.
Patreon. There was so much screaming, guys.
Giant spider.
Anyway. But yes, but that's because I listened to this on audiobook. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I did. I think it was about a 7 or 8 hour.
Yeah, about 8 hours. And I sped it
yeah.
up a little bit because, like I said, I was running behind a little bit. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know with the actual meaning, because I'm sure there is. Like, I'd love to see the breakdown of some of the symbolic.
We need to take a break.
Okay, let's take a break.
Because I know I can feel in my...
Is that a word? You guys, we're taking a break. I don't even know anymore. Good day. All right, guys, so welcome back from the break. Friend, let's see, what other pivotal moments in this book deserved?
We were just saying this book deserves so much more than what we were able to give on this late Friday, early Saturday morning.
Yeah, man.
It's just so good. Like, it was really just a masterclass in writing, especially after this weekend I might have watched something that was a result of bad writing.
Ooh.
So having this as a palate cleanser was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a reminder of like, no, there is good writing out there.
And you know what? I will say this. Maybe the bonus is that, I mean, we did kind of give away the meat and potatoes as far as the reveal in the book or whatever, which hopefully you skip past if you didn't want to know that. But I mean, the takeaway is that this book is amazing. If you have read, whether you've read Huckleberry Finn or not, or the Tom Sawyer books, this is an amazing addition. I don't think that reimagining classic works can always translate so well. Like, I think it's just a really hard thing to do, and the fact that he did it so masterfully is a nod to his creativity, his skillful writing. It was so good. He
should be a much bigger deal.
He should. It's crazy. It's
like how I feel about Cola Booth.
It's like, my God.
Like the fact that they both aren't like just household names, because there's so many people who are less talented that have so much more notoriety.
This was just so good, you
so
guys.
Maybe Percival Everett, you need to do a reality show.
He would never.
Even saying. I'm not saying it's a good idea, but if you just wanted to really get out there.
I think if he wanted to get out there, he'd be out there. And I'm sure he's out there doing his thing, in his circles. I mean, I don't even think we read all the accolades of all of the
I feel like
writing.
as time goes on, his work will endure.
So he gotta die, is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just saying, like, as time goes on, like, because any artist wants their stuff to keep going after they die. You know what I mean? Like,
he's gonna be a huge deal. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a true testament as to whether it was art or not. Like, whether it exists well outside of its own time. And I think that Beyonce will do that. And I think Percival Everett is the literary Beyonce. He is the literary
Beyonce.
Beyonce. Yeah, but like without, except instead of pop music, it's books, so it's just not popular.
That's it. I was just like, he's an author, so there's that. So this little part I have right here was making me think about, where did I get this from? Dang it, I want to be able to cite it. It was in some review like a literary review, and it was talking about just sort of, and I already kind of touched on this, was just what I really, really loved about the story, other than just him being able to kill terrible people. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You don't get to see that all the time in the stories, but just the humanity that he assigned to the characters and, their backstories and their internal struggles. It was just, I don't know, it was just so deeply human. Like, it was just so good. He just captured that so well. And just the interplay. Him being able to take contemporary issues and then blend them with those things, and to think that like these are still issues that we are reckoning with now.
Oh,
that we're still they're
hair
in the
touching.
forefront.
That one was.
Oh man, the wit. Oh my God. See, we're not gonna even do this because we're trying to wrap up the show. But there's and I'm glad we're leaving that for you, because you should really read this book. You should really listen to it. There's gonna be some stuff that we didn't even get a chance to touch on, but I feel like my come away. Jesus, that's not a. And then that sounds nasty too. And my eyes twitching.
Remember
again.
when we couldn't come up with the word for symbolism?
I do. I said symbology. That's not a word.
I was just thinking too, because if Steven Spielberg gets a hold of this might be like the next Color Purple.
It's so good. Like when you said that, I was so excited because I literally could picture it. I literally could picture him walking through the flames. Like Clint Eastwood. And it's like, oh my God, I love this so hard, because it's like you said, the Django-ness of it all, like that retribution, like seeing that, feeling that, even though it's fake, it feels so good.
And you had to know, like, there were people fighting back. They
There
always
were.
make it sound like it was just so passive. And it's like, well, and because what is sad is, because he brings this up in the book, some people did like being slaves.
Yeah.
And were very, very dedicated to Massa and Massa's advancement. They saw Massa's advancement as their own advancement.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, he wouldn't automatically just trust black people when he was on the road, because it's like, nah, it ain't safe.
It ain't safe.
I know that.
And it's like that now.
It
I
is.
mean,
Very relatable.
Yeah.
Man, what a great book.
It was a
do
really,
you
really
wanna
good
rate
book.
it?
Yeah, let's rate it. Friend.
Okay. I'm going first?
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 pencils.
Pencils?
Pencils.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 5 out of 5 lace front afro wigs. And if you read the book, you'll know why.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's
All
what I'm going
Yeah,
with.
I wish it was. I can't give it. This was just.
It was so good, you guys.
I look forward to rereading. I'm going to read Huck Finn and then come back and reread this.
I think that's a good idea. And yeah, if you've not read Huckleberry Finn, I think it's a good time to reread that or go back. It is lots of N-words in it, but just understand the context behind it is like, yo, that's how they spoke. And he even says it in the beginning of the book. It gives this whole, like, it's a whole intro about don't read into this, don't try to take any morals from this story, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of explains the different dialects that, because there's lots and lots of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the one takeaway from this book, just real quick too, was like when James wasn't code switching and like he was talking to Huck or other people when he finally revealed himself, they just kept being like, why are you talking like that? That was wild to me.
You know what's so interesting? Because have you ever gotten that comment from other Black people that you talk white?
Oh God, yeah, I've heard
Okay.
that before. Yeah, because I use my vowels.
Yes, and it's just like I remember getting accused, like growing up and be like
Accused.
Yes, it was
It
like,
is an
why are you
accusation.
talking proper? Like where it would have been this kind of like basically it's like we don't want to hear that out of your darky mouth. Like
It's
what
like it's like Massa ain't around. You ain't got to be talking like that, boss. It's like
yeah, like you just end up like
it's
there's
like
just-
no.
that one's just a moth. I'm not scared of moths. You're on your own in your fear of this one.
But wait, I got up and faced a giant spider.
You did.
And then I was like, oh, when a moth came.
And it's the tiniest moth on earth. I didn't even, if it was any smaller, our eyes wouldn't have registered it. It would have been like all the other germs floating around right now.
It was a skin cell.
A flappy little skin cell. I'm all out of fear, I think, too. I'm just at this point, I'm just like, I'm ready for the insects to take me.
Unless that cup moves. Unless that cup moves.
Pray to God that cup doesn't move.
If that spider bench presses this red solo cup, it's a problem.
Man.
You
It's
guys.
plotting its revenge.
It's just been a long day, you guys. This was an excellent book. Percival
was.
Everett, thank you so much. This was
Yes,
an amazing,
this was a
amazing
gift.
work. Did not even know this was published this year. That's how ignorant I am. Because I was like, hold on. So when does this? It was published this year, and
I feel like he was really having fun at the end.
He
like
was
that
having a good
Because when you
time.
talk about pacing, a lot of times what a
was
lot
so
of
good.
movies, media suffers at like the end. You know what I mean? A lot of times there's like you'll be a really good
Anticlimactic.
story and then the end sucks. Like Game of Thrones,
Ugh.
Lost, like Heroes. So many things where it was just like started so strong. No. He goes the distance.
he does. Yeah, I loved
He
it.
gets us to the finish
He
line.
was very, very
excited,
good.
like pumped.
Yay. So guys, definitely check this book out. You won't be mad if you have a chance to read this. It could be triggering. It's definitely, anytime you talk about the experience of enslaved folks, obviously.
a
But definitely
bummer.
definitely worth a read. Also,
Especially if you like watching enslaved people get free.
yeah.
That's the thing too.
Yeah,
If
there's
it
some
had just
redemption in
ended
there
with them in
too.
slavery, it would have been a bummer. But it was like, no, like there's
like, no,
gonna
no.
be a
No, no.
war, and there's gonna be, people taking agency and realizing their bodies belong to them.
Such an important thing. You say that all the time, friend.
I do.
So, yeah, really, really good book. Let's spin the wheel real quick.
Oh, good idea.
Spin it. Okay. IBE, Indiana Black Expo, live show. It's going to be you and me. Oh, I'm
Summer
rhyming.
celebration.
And I am not good at it.
well,
but
you
that's
are, but
okay,
you're just
because I'm tired as shit.
It is not tired around here.
So-
It's so opposite from last week. Remember how
I
refreshed we were?
know. We were all reading Rainbow and shit. It wasn't even read Rainbow, but it felt like
It was after the Reading Rainbow, but we had just
It felt
had like
great.
days off.
Yeah.
And
It was a day off, but my day off wasn't on call. Like it was a leisurely day. It was like filled with things that were amazing. So, and it wasn't 1 a.m.
wasn't. But I appreciate you recording because we're doing a different time because this weekend's going to be a banana sandwich.
Yeah.
And so, but we're giving the people a new episode.
We're
not giving up. We're not going to be like,
Nope.
sorry guys, couldn't get it together this week. So you're getting this.
This is what it is, right? So, all right.
So what do we say?
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm glad you guys know. So yeah, you guys. So the Indiana Black Expo, we are gonna be there live. We're gonna be part of the Arts Pavilion. So if you're in the Indianapolis area, it's the last weekend in June, the 28th through the 30th. Kat's gonna be there on that Friday doing a live paint. Literally next weekend. We'll be there Sunday from 5 to 6. That will be our live show. So pull up on us. Like I said at the top of the show, there's so many really dope experiences there. There's some free stuff, like Black Expo always does. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, they've got. Listen, it's a lot going on. So pull up Black Expo this upcoming weekend. So hopefully you guys can do that, and hopefully we'll actually have a recording from that, because if not, it'll be a fake episode.
Yeah,
it should be.
Like I said,
we'll
be good. Give you something.
It'll be we'll pull up. So you guys, with that, we're gonna get the hell up out of here because I feel like I'm stuttering,
and we have a spider hostage.
We do, and that moth might show back up. Let's get the hell out of here.
I know, it's
the world's smallest moth is still a problem. Okay, so I gotta go. All right, you guys, peace.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.